How are we able to help the theater owners and operators make the theater cleaner even faster? Because with the busy holiday season coming up, we know that we want the theater owners to get as many people in the seats as possible, especially when the Wickeds are out, the new Anaconda movie that's coming out in December. We want people to continue to come in and out. And so what do? Well, we make sure that cleaning is at the forefront of our products. And so can we make this easier for you? Yes, we can.
This is the Box Office Podcast. I'm Daniel Loria, the editorial director of Box Office Pro, the pulse of theatrical exhibition. And in this week's episode, we are going to be going over the entire opening weekend numbers from Wicked for Good, the blockbuster title released by Universal Pictures last weekend that we expect to play a very competitive role in its sophomore frame. We will also be previewing some of that Thanksgiving box office with a new release of Disney's Zootopia 2. And in our feature segment, Rebecca Pahle interviews Jack Powers from Irwin Seating, going over some of the new products that this legacy company here in the seating sector of the industry is bringing to theaters. That is coming up in the second half of our episode. But before we get started in all things Wicked and Zootopia, let's start with some of the quieter movies that we've been catching up on. Rebecca, you finally caught up with The Long Walk. I'm not sure you liked it any more than I did, and I barely liked it.
No, I'm the less said about one, the better. Though I did also catch up with Park Chan-wook's No Other Choice, which actually we got that news in today that it's having a one-day only IMAX release, which is interesting and unusual, and exactly the sort of diversity of programming that this industry needs. It's not, subject-wise, it's not super visually driven story, but there are some shots and some transitions in there that are just beautiful. Like Park Chan-wook just knows what the hell he's doing.
Yeah, fantastic movie, No Other Choice. That hits a limited release on Christmas Day with, as Rebecca mentioned, an IMAX exclusive one-day release. I believe that's on December 8th, handled by Neon. One of the year's best films so far, for my opinion. I got to catch up on some other award-ish contenders. First and foremost, Predator Badlands. I love this movie, guys. Rebecca, you were spot on in your capsule review last week with us. This is Disney Predator. This is full-on IP.
This is a Star Wars movie, except Disney's Star Wars movies have been not as great.
Well, in the chat, after I saw it, I think I mentioned it to you guys. This Predator Badlands is the best Star Wars movie Disney has made yet.
There are no humans in it at all.
Yeah, no, you can see a version of this actually being repurposed as a Chewbacca spinoff, fighting against like clone robots from the Empire. I really just enjoyed every second of that movie. Really like Yorgos Lanthimos' Begonia as well.
My mom was very confused by it. It threw her for a loop. She didn't see some of the genre stuff coming.
There's good genre stuff in the end. You have to sign up for it. But if you give it some leeway and give it a little bit of space to work, I think you're going to come out happy with it. The woman sitting in the row behind me at my screening over at the Showcase Cinemas Yonkers location, right as we were walking out of the auditorium, she turns to me and says, "That was awful."
In that tone of voice where, like, you can tell they expect you to agree.
Yeah. And I just kind of smiled. I was like, you know what? Yeah, it's not for everyone. Though it was certainly for me. It's that type of movie. If you watch it, I think with a certain generation of folks, maybe expecting Emma Stone in La La Land, they'll walk out of it going, come on, guys. And then finally, I went over to one of my local theaters here, the Look Dine-In Cinemas in Dobbs Ferry, to catch up with Rental Family, which is now out in wide release from Searchlight Pictures. Another title that I think is going to be making some waves here in the awards conversation. But enough of these, let's say, award season contenders, because we have big blockbusters to talk about in this week's episode, including the second biggest opening weekend of the year. We were hoping it would beat out Minecraft movie for the best, but it settled for number 2. Chad, you finally caught a screening of Wicked for Good last week. Before we delve into the numbers, as a fan, what's your reaction to the film?
I think they definitely stuck the landing. It has all of the moments that, as a fan of the musical, you want, and there's also some nice surprises in there, particularly the very last shot, which I won't spoil here, but I think they wrapped it up really well. And that's maybe a bit of a risk. We've talked about how splitting this into two movies was always a little bit of a risk, even though, you have the musical fan base there, and having part one out really built another fan base. But going into this movie, it's like, how are those who are not familiar with the musical going to take the second act? Because it goes in some directions that maybe that audience wouldn't expect. But at my screening, I felt like everyone had an amazing time. I saw so many people in full on costumes, like witch costumes, and lots of pink and green. So that's always helps make it feel like a big event, which was
I'm going to
exciting.
ask you the question my wife asked me. Then I can't answer.
Okay. Yeah.
I haven't seen it yet. She's a huge fan of the original musical on Broadway. And I guess one question, her concern is, can the movie pull off stretching a 45-minute act 2 into a 2-hour plus feature? Because if it's a lot of filler in there, maybe some of those original fans are going to drop off. How did that act play for you?
How does it mesh in the new stuff? Does it feel
Yeah, that was kind of a concern for me too, because you go from 45 minutes to 2 hours, 17 minutes. Some of it works better than others. Like my little minor qualms are, I think, things that were added because it slows down the narrative momentum that the second act has on stage. You put some of those other additional song in there, some other content, and it kind of, when you get to the parts of the musical, they feel really rushed because you have these other things in there kind of breaking it up. So if I do have any like minor qualms, I think I would point to that, but I think it works as a whole.
I'm looking forward to the dance numbers. I love a big splashy dance number, especially one that, on stage, there's only so much you can do scale wise. So yeah, I'm going to try to get out to see it before Thanksgiving, but we'll see. I suspect a lot of people are going to be in that boat of, I had my tickets on Friday. We got proofs in at the last minute and work called. So I'm like, oh, okay, it's going to be in theaters. I'll check it out. I maybe don't want to fight with those opening weekend crowds. I got to imagine the second weekend hold is going to be good.
Well, that's one of the things I think we really outlined in our podcast episode last week when we gave some of this box office analysis. The pre-sales are great. We see great momentum for this title, but like a lot of folks, opening weekend, the weekend before Thanksgiving, isn't a 3-day frame, it's a 10-day frame. So you can buy a pre-sale ticket for Tuesday if you drive out to see family on Monday. If you fly in on Wednesday, maybe you catch something before, heading back home. Thursday, some people have early dinners. It really just stretches out for a whole play week and a half that it's always hard to pin down where a movie is going to end up. I think the 147 million opening weekend from Wicked was certainly on the lower end of our range, but we did bring in that caveat that like, hey, the baseline here is 135 plus. We are expecting to do 145 to 170-ish, but there's always a potential that all that we're hearing about the pre-sales is actually concentrated for this weekend. And if that's the case, it's 180 to 210. It turns out that no, this is something that's going to play out for a week and a half.
Yeah. And if you look at the first one, it had the same release strategy of coming out the weekend before Thanksgiving, 112.5 million. And then there was only like a 28% drop between the first and second weekend frames. What everyone in this industry says is not judging the value of a movie or the importance of a movie or the success of a movie based on 3 days.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that you're going to see a very similar performance here in its sophomore frame as we enter a Thanksgiving weekend that we don't expect to be a record breaker like the 2024 frame was, even though Wicked for Good is outpacing Wicked Part 1. But Zootopia 2, which is opening up in the Moana 2 spot from last year, that isn't going to be that sort of huge opening weekend that we saw from the Moana sequel. Zootopia 2 coming in currently with an opening weekend forecast of $100 to $125 million for the 3-day frame. Looking at the 5-day frame, we are expecting a range between 125 and 150 million. Wicked for Good is probably going to end up in second place. We're right now tracking that for a 3-day number between 85 and 110 million, and a 5-day holiday weekend between 110 and 135 million. So really, really strong numbers for both those titles, which are going to come in clearing $200 million most likely by themselves this weekend. Everything else is going to be, frankly, single digits and below. It's really going to be a market dominated by two titles. But that Zootopia movie, guys, I've heard only positive things. Chad, you got to see this last week.
Yeah, I think it's just as good as the original. It's really fun. It's really fun for adults. There's so many little hidden jokes in there. And the whole premise of Zootopia, there's all of these businesses and like all of this text on the screen for adults to enjoy if you read some of that stuff in the background. I had a great time. Yeah, it's really fun, really cute.
Yeah, that 1-2 punch, I think, is going to be doing wonders for the box office. Before we forget, let's go over some of these great opening weekend numbers from Wicked for Good that we had worldwide, really. Starting out on the domestic side with a $147 million debut, besting Wicked Part 1's $112 million opening weekend from last year. Internationally, we saw a $76 million haul from 78 territories. Rebecca, what were some of its top markets?
So we have the UK and Ireland, where it broke a whole slew of records. It was the biggest opening weekend of the year of 2025 in that market. Second biggest opening of all time for a live action musical. The first PG film in that market to get over £1 million in IMAX, which echoes a trend we see elsewhere domestically and internationally, how those premium formats are really becoming a customer's opening weekend preference there. Second place, we have Australia, where it opened to 8.6 million, accounting for 78% of all movie theater traffic through the top 10 films. Third biggest opening for Universal in that market of all time. Germany, 4.1. Number 3, 26% of the total market box office was just from this one title. We have number 4, Korea with 3.8 million. 5, Mexico with 3.7 million, a 41% share of the total box office. 69% share of the total box office for Philippines, which was the 6th highest market. Then we have Brazil at number 7 with 2.5. Spain, 2.3, 39% of the total market box office. And 9 and 10. The Netherlands and France. In the Netherlands, IMAX made up 15% of the total 2.1 million box office from just 10 of those IMAX screens.
Wow, just two handfuls of screens end up 15% of that 2.1 million in the Netherlands. Fantastic result there from the PLFs. Moving over now to individual circuit records, Chad, AMC had some fantastic numbers for this title.
Yeah, AMC delivered its biggest opening weekend for a PG or G-rated movie since early 2023. And through midday Sunday, AMC accounted for all of the top 7 theaters in the US and Canada for admissions revenue. Wicked for Good is now AMC's top opening weekend merchandise program of 2025. And then the double feature of Wicked on Thursday, November 20th, became AMC's highest attended double feature of the decade.
And AMC really dominating the top locations for this title, really taking over the top 5 sites between AMC Empire and Lincoln Square in New York City, and locations like City Walk and Burbank over in LA. Coming in at number 4 in the top earning houses in the country, I had to mention this, Orlando.
The Disney Springs.
Yes.
The one inside Disney.
That's the one. The AMC Dine-In in Disney Springs end up being the number 4 highest earning house for this movie. Chad, are all these theater kids just like putting in work as characters and then getting out to see this movie?
Absolutely. I mean, there's so many theater kids that work in those parks, so you know that's why it's up there.
It's one of those intricacies, right, about the marketplace. And we have to give a big congratulations to our friends over at Megaplex, based out of Salt Lake City. The Utah-based circuit coming in with 3 of the highest earning sites among the top 25 earners for this title. Great to see a diversity of different circuits, of different cities coming in with numbers that we haven't seen in a very long time. And those records continue, Rebecca, because Regal reached out to us with some highlights of their own.
Yeah, they, like AMC, had a lot of success with the custom merch. They sold out of their special promo combo popcorn and soda containers. Had the 4th highest spend per patron in their entire history that brings together the ticket prices, the concessions prices, the merch, but those merch items and those special F&B custom products really helped elevate that number. And we also heard from Marcus, Daniel, they had some records broken of their own as well.
They had the second highest opening weekend of the year, I think, reflective of the industry at large, coming in behind Minecraft. But this is their highest performing pre-Thanksgiving weekend since the pandemic for Marcus Theaters. And over a third of all their weekend attendance came from premium large formats. I know they've got that ultra screen and super screen concept in their theaters, which sound fantastic because they put those Dolby Atmos speakers in those buildings. I know a lot of folks flocked to those type of PLFs. We're going to go into that PLF performance shortly, but before we do, I do want to bring up the View performance here in the UK, where it outperformed Wicked Part 1 by over 30% and represented View International's biggest opening weekend since 2023's Barbie. So records left and right here. And last but certainly not least, let's go over these PLF figures because, Chad, IMAX came in with some fantastic numbers of their own.
Yeah, globally, 21.1 million coming from IMAX and 15.5 of that in North America, so 11% of the total box office domestically. It was the number one November domestic opening weekend for IMAX and the number two domestic opening weekend for a family film in IMAX. Internationally, 5.6 million came from IMAX, which was 75% better than Wicked's opening weekend.
And we can't forget our friends over at CJ4D Plex, the manufacturers of immersive seating technology 4DX and the panoramic screen format ScreenX. Some really strong figures there, guys, across 70 4DX screens. This posted a 27.5K per screen average. Meanwhile, 116 ScreenX locations delivered a per screen average of $18,000. Really, really strong numbers. Gives you an idea of just how much they're packing these premium formats, with CJ4D Plex calling out two domestic chains in that performance, both Cinemark and B&B Theaters, really seeing some fantastic results with these premiums. And as we talk about that movie-going experience, Rebecca, you spoke with Jack Powers from Irwin Seating, a company that, not too many people are going to realize the chair until they actually sit in it and just melt down in some of those recliners like I've been known to do.
Yeah, from switching gears for the podcast episode from the moviegoer experience behind the curtain, as it were, to more of a movie theater operations perspective. Obviously, this is a very busy time of the year for cinemas, Thanksgiving running through the holiday season, which is great, but can also be very stressful, obviously. So yeah, it was a good conversation just about some of those things that you don't really think about, the ways in which seating can help just keep things move slowly. They have some new products coming out, including the Aura. You can find out more information about that on irwinseating.com. Actually, some interesting stuff. As someone who has before dropped their phone down the side of the seat chair and had to have someone...
That's what it's called. The Gap of Doom.
The Gap of Doom.
If it's in there, it might be lost forever.
I've been trapped in the Gap of Doom before. Some of their products have specifically deal with you need to get under there into the Gap of Doom, and you don't want to it's very helpful for clumsy people like myself.
I had earbuds fall into the Gap of Doom, like the really expensive ones. You bet I was staying there through the credits. Just trying.
And he was saying you have people trying to go in there and get stuff, and they're unplugging things.
No, yeah, it really actually when we talk about things you only notice when they don't work, that's something that if you have that awkward experience of dropping something in the cinema seat Gap of Doom, you're not going to come out of there a happy camper. So I'm glad that there's offerings right now where this really avoidable situation can
makes it super easy to clean, to get stuff you dropped.
Without any further ado, let's listen to Jack Powers interviewed by Rebecca Pahle coming up after this commercial break.
Irwin Seating has been building and installing seating solutions in schools, stadiums, concert halls, and cinemas for 119 years. So it's safe to assume they've seen a thing or two. And safer still to assume that Irwin not only has the products you need, they have the experience, knowledge, and know-how to solve whatever problem you have that needs solving, regardless of the size of your cinema or your problem. To learn more about what Irwin has learned about cinema in the last 119 years, visit irwinseating.com.
So I am joined here on the Box Office podcast by Jack Powers of Irwin Seating. Jack, we're talking to you here before Thanksgiving, but people listening to this interview, it will be on Thanksgiving, hopefully, and very, very likely coming out of a really bonkers, amazing, good weekend for Zootopia 2, the second week of Wicked for Good. It's a big time of year for cinemas for sure. Jack, how are you doing today?
Rebecca, I'm doing great. Thanks for having me back on. I love talking about the busy seasons in the movie going experience. Last time I was on was in July, so we saw some great summer blockbusters, including F1. So great lineup coming up. Zootopia, can't wait to see that. And even Wicked, I know that that's going to be quite the experience and really will tie in that the rest of that Wicked story. So can't wait to see that.
I'm looking for it. I'm going to see it in some sort of premium format. I'm not quite sure which yet, but it's one of those that it feels like you need to have that big movie theater experience. Is there anything else that you're looking forward to that's coming up over the holidays? Or
Yeah, definitely. So obviously eating the turkey with the family, but I need to get out there. Black Friday seems like a great time to see a movie after you're doing all your shopping. It's like, what can you do to wind down? And one of those options is definitely there. So premium large format, Irwin Seating, obviously we cover a lot of seating, and premium large format is one of those. And just to have that surrounding screen is such a magical thing. And I think especially with Wicked and Thanksgiving, it could definitely set the tone. So maybe in 5 years from now, it's like, hey, remember that Thanksgiving we went and saw Wicked, and that's what we're expecting to do and to see. So
my family always we go to the movies on Christmas Day, and it's a great experience, but it makes me like stressed out from an operational perspective because they're so busy. And like last year, just not enough staff. You could tell everyone was, the concessions lines were so long. It's one of those things where you don't really think about it if you're just going to see a movie. But if you're in that industry, you know that there are so many little things that need to be kept on top of for everything to go smoothly. And that includes seating. How does seating help you to clean operational issues? I mean, Irwin Seating's been around for, is it 120 years?
Yeah, exactly. We're hitting about that 120-year mark. And not only do we do seating for cinemas, we do it for sports arenas, performing arts centers. So really, wherever you're experiencing something, we have made a chair for. How are we able to help the theater owners and operators make the theater cleaner even faster? Because with the busy holiday season coming up, we know that we want the theater owners to get as many people in the seats as possible, especially when the Wickeds are out, the new Anaconda movie that's coming out in December. We want people to continue to come in and out. And so what do? Well, we make sure that cleaning is at the forefront of our products. And so can we make this easier for you? Yes, we can.
Any question or concern that can possibly be had about seating in any sort of venue, Irwin's dealt with it before. You've probably are always talking to clients, and you know the questions before they even come up.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what we like to do. We start by, really understanding who the client is, and maybe they're more of a premium large format, or maybe they're a mom and pop. So we dissect really what their needs are, what are they looking for when having their customers come in for a movie going experience. And that's really the beauty of Irwin, is not only do we do seating, but we also listen and make sure that we're giving you the right solution. And we take pride in that, because after 120 years, people have grown to trust us, and we want that even more with the movie going experience.
I love a big, cushy, motorized recliner with the, heated and all the bells and whistles. I like those just like anyone else. But there are so many other considerations, what you were talking about with this time of year and with premium formats becoming more and more popular. I'm going to get my ticket to Wicked as soon as they go on sale, because otherwise for some of these big blockbusters, they run out of seats really quick for opening weekend for those premium formats. So seating, you guys have to, I know that it's been about a year since you launched. Was it Luna was a new product that you had that's getting that sweet spot between comfort and a little bit of a luxurious feeling, but also fitting as many seats as you can without it feeling cramped.
Yeah, exactly. With as many tickets that are going to be sold, we want to make sure that our Luna that we offer now, our premium large seating, can fit into these theaters. And so we designed with that in mind, and also the comfort. We don't want you to lose sight of, it's not your traditional recliner that you may be accustomed to, but now we have something that's, in terms of comfort, exactly where you want to be. The nice rocking motion, the pitch to the back, the sight lines, because you want to see Ariana Grande, sing at the top of her lungs, because you don't want anything in your way, including a head. So we definitely take with all those things in consideration. And yeah, we can't wait for you to get out there, and hopefully it's an Irwin fitted theater there.
It's almost like they say about editing, when you're editing a movie, like if you kind of do it seamlessly, the moviegoers shouldn't notice.
Exactly.
It seems
yes.
like a challenging thing from a designer's perspective to thread that needle.
I might be biased, but there's times where I've done sit tests here and I'm like, well, I guess I just watched a movie. And that was exactly the feedback that they wanted, because I've completely negated the fact that I was in my most comfortable position the whole time. I didn't really feel agitated or anything like that. And so exactly right. If the customers can go in and not even really think about the seating that they sat in, I think we've done our job. It's when they start to notice those things like cleanliness or durability or even comfortability is when we start to take a look at ourselves and say, okay, how can we make that better?
How can we make it better with still remaining within a price point that makes sense for the industry, depending on whether they are like a mom and pop theater or a bigger chain? What are some of the other ways that movie theater seating can enhance the movie-going experience in ways that people maybe don't think about when they're just going to see a movie?
Yeah, so we take pride in the accessories that we have, and really it's the table that can be on your seat. Maybe you're eating popcorn, or maybe there's a meal that you're eating now with watching Wicked. It might be even a themed meal. Our heated backs that you alluded to is something that people are really loving, and it's almost feeling like you're at home. But then not only that, but we're thinking about the cleanliness, and so we want to make sure that not only is the seat clean for the customer, but for the theater owners. And so we've actually recently come out with something new that is going to really define and shape the way that theater owners run their businesses now. Now we have our new Spectrum Aura, and is a new motor and casing option. That means there's easy access to the floor beneath, which makes cleaning your auditorium so much faster. Quicker cleaning times is operationally effective, and we get more people in their seats, obviously. And so chicken jockeys don't stand a chance. The floors will be cleaned after each show. And the beauty of it is, when you open the seat, you're not having anything that will get you from cleaning the floor. You can literally stand inside the seat if you want to. And that is so huge. It's almost the biggest innovation in cinema seating history. And we can't wait to really dive in more and show the customers what we have for them.
Yeah. I know some movie theater employees probably have flashbacks to some of those rowdier screenings, like you said, Minecraft, Five Nights at Freddy's, and people are going to be throwing their popcorn around. They just are.
Definitely. And we know that. And that's what we hear from theater owners, is that whether you're 5 years old or you're 80, 85, even watching a movie, you might get scared with that popcorn bucket in your hand, and there goes all the popcorn. And so
I'm a messy eater. Like, I'm not trying to throw popcorn around, but I'm dropping kernels on myself. I'm dropping kernels like inside the chair, like into behind the arm. It's
well, we offer that comfort so much that it's almost like you're at home, and sometimes you forget when you're sprinkling crumbs on your floor until you have to vacuum it yourself. And so we're bringing that into the theater space, and we're really excited to have these theater owners see what we can do with this new Spectrum Aura.
So how does that work with like lifting up the seat so you can get in there? Just the dumbed down version for someone who is not engineering minded or anything like that. But is it like a motor in there that you have to? It's on a rail, or what? How does that work?
Exactly. So traditionally, motors are inside the seat themselves that will help propel the foot chase to rise. And so there's been issues with that of, when the owners are getting in there to try to clean, you have to clean around motors, and that can be awfully sticky. And sometimes if you're sticking your hand in there to get your phone that maybe you dropped, you could be unplugging some certain things, and then you're not going to have your heated seat or whatnot. Doesn't typically happen.
You put your bag under the seat, and then you're like closing it, and some of your bag gets like caught under there, and it can just turn into a hole. I'm not the most graceful person, as you might guess. I'm dropping things left and right, but like you you want to be able to deal with the people factor.
Exactly.
All.
Well, and you would enjoy the seat then, Rebecca, because if you were to drop your phone down there, you could easily get it. And we don't recommend you opening these seats, obviously, but it's super easy to clean. So yes, traditionally we've had, and we still have our products that have the motors inside of the seat still, but we wanted to come up with a secondary option for people to see that now it's even easier to clean your theater. And so when you open up the seat, you will literally see nothing. The motor is now inside of the casing, which you will never see unless you have to get in there after a show for some reason. But we've even made that process super easy.
So the casing is actually inside the physical body of the chair. It's not.
Well, yeah, the casing is like the armrest, basically.
Okay.
And so now you'll see that motor that propels the footrest up and down inside of that, which you're still going to get the same comfort. You're still going to get the same ride. It's just now we've thought of this way for the theater owners to make things easier to clean. And so then when you're there for the Wicked premiere, it's easier to turn out. You're not going to step on popcorn as you're walking through the theater because it's cleaned out.
It's interesting to think about those like evolutions in tech and how I'm in New York. I love my old historic theaters. But as much as I love them, the seating in them can be not great. So when you do a renovation or something like that, like you're able to balance comfort and aesthetics, I guess, and authenticity on a case-by-case basis. What does my customer want and how can I accomplish that?
Yeah, exactly. And for how long we've been around, we're seeing the trends that are coming, and it seems about every 15 to 20 years is when there's a turnover for new seating. So maybe 20, 25 years ago, you might not have seen too many recliners in the theaters. And so we've realized that we need to be innovative and we need to make sure that each experience is new for these customers that are coming in. Maybe they've never seen a movie. And so really we're thinking about them in the forefront and how can we move that even further? So what do we see in another 20, 25 years with a lot of immersive seating? The sphere that we actually have provided seating in is really making that theater experience something brand new, where they're showing the Wizard of Oz and bringing in haptic seating where you can feel and hear and even smell certain things. So what is the industry telling us and how can we make it better?
If you're doing a reseating, you can buy whole new seats, or you can just kind of zhuzh up what you have from a more price affordable perspective. You don't need to have millions and millions and millions of dollars to completely upgrade everything in order to modernize your seats.
Yeah, definitely. And great point, because we have offerings for that too. Our recliner over riser is an option that instead of rebuilding, we can fit your current auditorium with this newer recliner over riser. So then we're keeping the same amount of space, but we're just building risers in your area instead of demolishing and building brand new risers for the seats to sit on. So lots of different things, lots of different ways to keep people in the seats to maximize capacity. But yes, the challenge is there, and we love a good challenge, and we like to see people really appreciate what we do and how we can help them be better.
So you're lifting up the seats and a whole different infrastructure underneath them. How long does that take for like a standard auditorium?
Yeah, so if you're looking to renovate, we recently did one here in Grand Rapids, Michigan, in hopes of getting it done within 5 months, and it was done within 2. And so we are able to get the doors open even sooner with our recliner over riser, or really with any product. We're very fast at installation, and operational excellence is what we strive for. So we try to make our products to be placed in there as seamless and easy as possible. So yeah, really quick turnaround. And we take pride in that too, because we like the feedback from the customers of maybe this took a little bit longer than expected. Okay, let's go back to the drawing board and see what that means. And so Irwin takes pride in being innovative and listening to the customer and making sure they get exactly what they want.
What is the typical lifespan for your standard movie theater seat? And how does that differ between, obviously, if you just have a rocker or something like that, that's going to be fewer moving parts, literally, than something with a motor in it.
Yep, great question. So a lot of our parts are all streamlined, and so we look to make our products as durable as possible. But we know hiccups happen. We know people get really comfortable in those 3-pillowed seats that could eventually lose its tightness. So we know that with that, we design things to stay strong, hold true. We have products like our recliner over riser that uses the same back as our Spectrum Aura, that uses the same back as the ZG4. And so we maintain durability throughout each so that you're not going to feel a difference between one or another. The motor and casing is the most durable product we have because now people aren't digging into the middle of the seat to clean. And sometimes when they clean, no matter how many times you do it, you could be loosening something, the bolts, the cords. So we take pride in making sure that we think about how we can maintain durability, as well as if something were to come up, we can easily address it because of our streamlined process.
I don't know the interior of movie theater seats in that way, but I do sew, and having tried to like fix a sewing machine when a loose, those tiny little screws fall in there, I'm having flashbacks. It's infuriating.
It really is. Yeah, I completely get that. And putting your fingers in tight little spaces, it can be difficult and you get frustrated. And
like, I'm not trained for this.
Really, I feel like you could take our product and put it together without a manual. Really, our manuals that we do send over is a secondary because it's just how easy it is. You know, you got your back, your chases, your armrests, and a couple bolts, and you're in. And the people are in. They're eating popcorn. They're, you know, hopefully not spilling pop, but hey, if it's that good of a movie, yeah, exactly.
So how much of what we've been discussing today, the durability, customizing the requirements of a chair for the requirements of an industry with premium seating being so popular right now, with the requirements of just dealing with humans being messy, how does Irwin's approach, I guess, stand out from other seating providers?
We focus on people that we're designing for and with the solutions that will truly work for them. That means we listen to the peers and customers before proposing solutions. We try a different prototype, sharing with them openly and learning from their reactions. We even balance innovation with practicality, so our solutions are useful and adopted. So when we show maybe a version that's not even close to being done, we love the feedback that people are coming back with. So what if you added this in here, especially nowadays with theaters are changing? What if you added a butt kicker in your seat to really change the outlook of how you just experienced Wicked? So we take those things and we apply them. And so a lot of our products could be designed based off of what has been said from theater owners, theater operation owners, people like that. So
if you need a tester, if you need, or you need like just a woman on the street to come sit in comfortable chairs and provide notes, definitely offer up my services there.
Rebecca, you come here and we'll show you how the manufacturing process is. And then at the end, we'll get you in the seat and we'll just leave you in your room to watch whatever movie you want in a lone room with that seat. And you love it. You love it.
Jack, it's been so great speaking with you about the little ins and outs of the cinema industry. It is such a complicated ecosystem that takes everyone's participation to work. Right now, we're at the phase where everything is busy. Everybody is running on automatic. Everything's running smooth. But maybe after that has died down a little bit, after we get to January and February, how can people find out more about Irwin Seating and about the Aura that you have coming up?
Be sure to stay tuned because on December 2nd is when we are launching Aura, and you'll find more information at irwinseating.com. Be sure to click the link that says nothing to see here. It's a little play on word with our Aura, but from there you'll learn a little bit more information on who to contact, where the additional questions you may have, we may have answers for you. Really big, exciting news. So December 2nd, the Spectrum Aura at irwinseating.com.
And that was Jack Powers from Irwin Seating speaking with our very own Rebecca Pahle. A big thank you to them. And earlier you heard from our colleague Chad Kennerk and myself, Daniel Loria, as part of our news segment here on the Box Office Podcast. We've got another new episode coming to you next week, so don't forget to subscribe, and we will talk to you again on Thursday.